And Jacques Villeneuve is inside Frenson's time. Now this is the fast track down to turn 5, 185 miles an hour. Back off into second gear, 55 miles an hour on the apex. Accelerate round the left-hander. It keeps on going. 145 miles an hour, 165 miles an hour. And he moves up into provisional pole position.
Well, that's more like it. That's the kind of lap times we were expecting to see. That's given them all a wake-up call. There's so much time under braking here for this chicane.
Oh, look at that. 0.3 of a second inside. This is terrific. Michael Schumacher is going to move up into provisional pole position if he just keeps up this speed as he comes into the last corner now. In tight on the apex. Get it steady, boot it hard, over the grid, and over the line goes Michael Schumacher and moves up into second place with a time exactly the same as Jacques Villeneuve's to the nearest 1,000th of a second. They've both done 1:21.072, but Villeneuve keeps the provisional pole because he got there first. And Heinz-Harald Frentzen is approaching the end of the first sector now. And this is going to give us a very good indication. And he's inside Villeneuve's time. This is certainly a pole position time coming up for Heinz-Harald Frentzen. And it couldn't have happened at a better time because team orders will count tomorrow. And Heinz-Harald Frentzen, this is amazing. I cannot believe this. Heinz-Harald Frentzen has done exactly the same time as Jacques Villeneuve and Michael Schumacher and stays therefore in third place. And believe it or not, Marcus Winkelhock as Jenson Button spins out of the race. Jenson Button in the Honda, who was in 5th place, is out of the race, climbing out of the car. He has spun off, and the spiker goes straight into the tyre wall there. Adrian Sutil. This reminds me of the race at I'm looking at 3 cars now. One of them's a McLaren, and it's off, and it's Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is off at the same corner as Jenson Button. Yeah. This race is turning into the one just like Silverstone, and they're flying off. There's another one. Gone straight into the side of Jenson Button's car. And another. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars off at the corner. Villeneuve is out of the race. Damon Hill is the world champion of 1996. Wheel off Villeneuve. We'll see what happened, but whatever it was has denied him the world championship. Frank Williams looking his normal, impassive self. But Damon Hill is the world champion of 1996. He doesn't even have to finish the race. If he failed to finish the race, he would still be 9 world championship points ahead of Jacques Villeneuve. Now, there are very few cars left on the circuit. There's 14 running now out of the 26 who started. And if Prost comes up to any of them, this is the opportunity that Senna's looking for. And he's going through. Out! Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. They meet. This is what we were...
On Senna's part.
Here's a replay. Now let's look. Senna comes up to try and go through on the inside. Prost moves across, takes them both out.
Nigel, first of all, will you carefully and slowly take your hat off? You've got an enormous bump on your head. Can you let them see it?
I don't know whether...
Right up there. Oh, I'm sorry. What has happened?
Well, the race was okay. We got in the courtesy car to go to the podium, and the guy drove off when I was standing up to give my helmet to someone, and there's a low girder, and the girder hit me across the head at about, I don't know, 5 to 10 miles an hour.
Unbelievable. But in this amazing race, 3 starts, and you had a terrible second start. What happened?
Yeah, Formula 1 cars are just not designed to start more than once, really, and I just had clutch slip on the second start from first to second gear. Was very lucky just to keep on going.
You've closed the gap by 3 points, but you're still 15 behind with 6 races to go. Can you do it?
Well, I'm figuring on trying to win the next 6 races. So, and I think the nice thing is that Nelson's done a fantastic job this year, in as much as I think this is his 6th or 7th second place. But you can only score in 11 races, and soon he's got to start dropping points. And I can score in all 6 races to come.
Words for Keke Rosberg. He may have been prepared to move over. And look at that! Out that, and colossally, that's Mansell. That is Nigel Mansell, and the car absolutely shattered. He's fighting for control, and you can see what's happened. Mansell is out of the race. Now, this could change and will change the World Championship. and Senna sprints away, but Alain Prost takes the lead. It's happened. Alain Prost has taken the advantage. Senna is trying to go through on the inside, and it's happened immediately. This is amazing. Senna goes off at the first corner, but what has happened to Prost? He has gone off too. Well, that is amazing, but I fear absolutely predictable. Michael Schumacher going to make a good start and cut across the front of Mika Häkkinen. He's famous for that. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 laps. Pause. Go, go, go. And Schumacher gets away well. Trulli is up alongside and sprinting into the first corner. It's Schumacher leading and Jarno Trulli is still 4th. Then off goes the... This is something that many people didn't think could possibly happen today. They thought Damon would drive a cautious race, but he fought. He fought from second on the grid. He passed Jacques Villeneuve. He took the lead. He stayed there. And Damon Hill exits the chicane and wins the Japanese Grand Prix. And I've got to stop because I've got a lump in my throat. Michael Schumacher passes Damon Hill, but too late. Damon Hill wins in Japan. I really am, for once, almost at a loss for words. I am so happy, as the majority of Britain will be. I must confess I have a very soft spot for Damon, and it has been magnified as a result of his achievements here. Above all else, after 52 years of talking about Grand Prix racing, was to go out on a high note and be euphoric about the fact that we'd just seen a great race. We've seen a great race in a great country, and hopefully it will have done something to lift the spirits of America. It certainly lifted mine. It certainly lifted the spirits of Formula One. And Martin, as ever, it was a joy to be working with you.
Thank you, Murray.
So that's it then, folks. That's the last from me. All I can say is that it always has been a pleasure, and I hope you will enjoy Grand Prix racing from now on. Goodbye.
Step off the train all alone at dawn, back into the home where I was born. Sun in the sky never raised the night to me. The blood on the track suddenly must be mine.
Look at that, we've got three wide going into school. And Bassett got it. Oh, what a move! What a move! All my people right here, right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. All my people right here, right now. You know what I mean?
Himself in the history books. He is, without a doubt, the man of F1 XL, but now he's a 3-time F1 XL champion. It's brilliant.
I don't really care for what you believe, so open up your fist, no you won't receive the thoughts and the words of every man you'll need.
A little bit, but we are just live now, Taz. So I'm just about to start the show. Welcome, everyone. That's a little bit of a different intro. They can't hear you, thankfully, yet. But welcome to the Xtra Show. And obviously, if you started in the starting stream, you would have got a little bit of the one, the only, the voice of F1, the man that showed pure passion in the commentary box, and that was Murray Walker. Obviously, a big idol of myself and to everyone in the just in the community in general. I believe he very much inspired a lot of the up and coming drivers, especially the British ones, and was just a great man to have on the grid. So it's a great loss to F1. But not only, unfortunately, this week we've also lost Sabine as well. It is Sabine, isn't it? The that did the I can't pronounce that. Nusha, that track in Germany. So
Nürburgring, you absolute tit.
yeah, I can't pronounce it at the moment, Taz.
I hope they could hear that.
Yeah, they can. Anyway, now you can hear Taz. So Taz is there. Apparently everything's a little bit loud on my side. So
you need to be quiet.
No, I don't need to be quiet. You need to be quiet.
Think of it like a David. We should do the show. Like Whose Line Is It Anyway? Just someone shouts at a random genre. We have to do the whole show like that. So this week it's going to be David Attenborough nature documentary. And over there is the wild greeners about to crash into a wall. That's how we should do it every single week. We should get people to nominate how we do it.
Fair enough. We'll go with that. Anyway, let's change subject quickly. I'm just going to go first up to the new Prime sub that we just got off Kieran Wright 92. Thank you very much. That's your 2 months in a row. Awesome from you. Thank you. Next.
Thanks, Kieran.
Next, we've got the picture of the week. I'm going to do that first this time because it's a photo finish, if you can see. It's not the one in the chat box. I really need to actually get rid of that. Greeners is...
No.
We've had enough of Greeners for today. For this part of the show. It's from Semper HD. It's a great photo, this one. Very nice. The Racing Point and an Alfa Romeo crossing the line there. And let us get Jamie the G into the party for this.
Gareth, you might want to mute whoever's just joined the party before him.
I've muted him, so it's fine.
That's fine. Okay.
Anyway, let's go and get sorted. Jamie the G, welcome to F1 XL Extra.
Great to be here. Hello.
How are you doing? I believe this is your first time. Very, very somber there. I don't know if Taz wants to do this kind of commentary. The questioning for you today.
Go for it.
Jamie will back me up on this when I say that. So we've got someone who's joined the party who joined the party for me more than anything, and he's just sat there. You can't hear him in the stream, but he just sat there going ooh. Oh, you're in the middle of talking, Gareth. It just got me. But okay. Yeah, do you know what? I'll go for F5. Jamie,
hello.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. It's a little bit of a difference from where we were at this point last time round. Last season, you were sort of in F4 and I was in F4, and now you're in F5 and I don't race at all. So definitely things have changed, haven't they?
I think performance-wise have changed as well.
Oh yes. Do you know what? I think we'll start on that before we start talking about races or whatever. Don't take any disrespect from what I'm about to say here, but last season I think you were very much a driver who it was almost expected to crash out or have an incident of some sort, and not really expected to sort of be battling too high up the grid. But I think this season, you sort of knuckled in, you've got your head down, and really you're actually showing probably what I think you showed glimpses of at probably 2 or 3 races last season where I sort of sat there and was like, actually, you know what, he's got genuine pace. I think now that you've got a good battle on you, you're really starting to show that pace. Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. I'd say last season there was, I think, USA. I sort of nearly got a podium, but that was really about it. I qualified alright sometimes, but in the race, in the race I was terrible. But this season, I didn't expect myself to do this well this season. The first race, I qualified pole for a second. I was like, how's this happened? Surely I'm in the wrong league.
And that was the thing as well, is sitting there sort of looking at that, and some of the guys that you're qualifying ahead of are people that you were not only racing last season but also qualifying behind and finishing behind. So I think you've definitely got a few people by surprise anyway. So it's good to see that positive impact for the season anyway. So we'll talk about weekend just passed, obviously Japanese Grand Prix. How did you feel going into this one? Obviously the fact that you're in the middle of a title fight now.
Obviously getting pole is the most important thing. I'd have to worry about going through turn 1 with a car side by side. I sort of got a really good start and then just knuckled down really. There's only a couple of safety cars towards the end, and that's pretty easy for me. Those easy decisions to make, to pit, to not pit, and then just carry on with my pace. I got a bit fortunate with some disconnects there.
Yeah, I think was it Joshua was one of the ones that's connected. I think there was
my two rivals disconnected. So, someone's probably thinking I've got like a little connection box or something. I'm just taking them offline, but no. I was gutted to see them leave because I'm really enjoying this battle.
Yeah, and the fact that I think it's you, is it Kiwi and Joshua are the sort of the big three at the moment, isn't it?
The three musketeers, I'd say. Yeah.
And so in qualifying, obviously you chucked it on pole. You had sort of Stokey as a little bit of a buffer. I'm guessing you were sort of quite happy to see him sort of sticking in the middle, just in front of those two.
Well, when it was quite, I think it was like 5 thousandths of a second or something. It was separating me and Stokey. Like, it caught me off guard. That did. I didn't realise how close it was until I properly looked. But Stokey's got crazy pace, so I knew I had to get a good start.
I think Stokey, you know what, he's one of those guys, and I think you'll agree with it from last season, and the fact that he has got the pace, just again, needs to show it more regularly, I think, and he could definitely get in that fight with you guys.
100%. There's a podium coming, even a win, I'd say, from Stokey.
Yeah, he's so close. I think it was a P at the weekend, but we'll go into that in a bit more detail in a second. So, start of the race, obviously you've got yourself, and then you've got your two title rivals behind you. Were you sort of feeling confident after chucking on the front row that you were just going to go out there and dominate?
Nervous as hell. Nervous, really nervous. I don't do situations like this well. I'll still get used to it as the season goes on, so. But being pole, it's so much pressure. But I sort of evolved as the race went on, and I got a lot more calmer. And it was just, it was pretty simple, really, but a challenge nevertheless with the safety cars.
Yeah, and the fact that you sort of you were able to maintain that. Was there any sort of points where you had to make overtakes, or was it just a case of that you could sort of control, when you went in and sort of keep in front of everybody?
There was a couple of overtakes that to make just to sort of beat some guys who pit with me. Tunstall, Stokey pitted at the same time as me, but he went on mediums and I went on hards. I was really confused with that decision, but it sort of paid off for him because the safety car came in. He doesn't have to, use the mediums as much as he would have.
Ah, okay,
but, yeah, it's a strange one.
And then seeing sort of obviously with the disconnects, your title rival sort of finishing well down in the points this weekend. Although obviously you did mention you're disappointed, there must be a part of you that was really happy to see that happen, yeah.
There was Josh, he was leaving, joining. I sort of getting a bit more comfortable. I was like, right, well, that's over with, and that's a worry there. I heard something about you can only get points if you race 75% of it, so after a little while, you can get points anyway. But I did sort of see G-Wee still. He was sort of like lurking fifth, and he was catching up to people, so I still had a bit of pressure on me, especially with the two Mercedes as well. They were really battling together, which sort of helped me out a lot.
Yeah, so that'd be Stokey and Dom the Noodle, yeah? Yeah. So after that result, that now puts you, you've gone from being what would have been, sort of a few points ahead, a handful of points ahead, to now being 27 points clear of Kiwi in second. Leading up to probably what will be the most difficult track of the season. How are you feeling, sort of having that sort of buffer going into what could easily be an absolute lottery?
I've practiced, getting there. I think I've got a safety net now, so if I don't do really, incredibly well, I don't carry on my streak of podiums, then I at least got some sort of safety net. Or if I don't have a great race, I'll still maintain my lead, but I'm feeling okay. I feel like I qualified pretty well, and I'll just take it easy. That's what I've always been doing, just take it easy. I don't try and push really hard, I just, survive. And it's paid off pretty well.
Get on with it and see what happens at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Just knuckle down.
Yeah. Gareth, I'm going to tag you in, see if there's anything you would like to ask our guest.
Well, we've already touched on it, but obviously it's the first time this season that we've seen only one of the top three not finish on the podium. Obviously, you've said it's all a little bit disappointing, but also a little bit of good news as well. With that going into Monaco, Is it too early to say it's a title-deciding race?
I know Joshua and Jiwi. I heard someone call him Gooey last week or something. I'm not too sure how to pronounce him, but I call him Jiwi. They're going to be really wanting to sort of bring back what they've lost, so they'll really be pushing. If I have a good performance, maybe, but it's way too early. There's still races like Italy, Spa, Silverstone that everyone's pace will start to show, and I'm not too comfortable at the popular tracks. I'm pretty good at the ones that people don't like.
So what would you say?
When the popular tracks come out, I might do alright.
What would you say your good tracks are then?
Oh, that's a good question. You know what? I'm alright with the basics. You know, your Austrias, your Australias. But I didn't think I'd be good at Japan and Russia. So I do not know. I don't like Vietnam. And that's that. I think the rest is okay. I just don't like Vietnam.
I don't think many people like Vietnam, to be honest. And if they do, they're getting thrown out of the league. No.
Good idea.
Bye, Greeners.
I heard Joshua and Jiwi they really like Vietnam, so I think it's a good idea to throw them out.
Obviously, it's your first. Is it your first full season within XL?
Well, last season I didn't complete it. I had a bit of a wobble.
We'll class it as second because you technically started last season and sort of did 90% of the races.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. You've obviously had a little taste for this team ownership. You're not yourself, but you've been involved with teams. How are you finding that as a aspect to league racing in general?
It's great to have all the guys. You know, it's like an exciting feeling to just go to the WhatsApp group and tell everyone, "Oh, I won," or "I got Peter," or stuff. So I look forward to that because it's a good reaction. And team owner's great. You know, he looks out for everyone's best interests. I always say I might not do well, but then I end up winning. But I say I might not do well. He says get solid points. Don't worry about a win, and that's what I think about. But then I'm starting to think of the win towards the end. But I just want to get solid points each week and prove people wrong that I was this risky draft pick, which I think I've proved it a bit. But I want to keep the consistency now.
I guess.
Has anyone ever, just out of curiosity, has anyone ever gone a full season where they've always been on a podium? Just I want to break a record or something. Is it possible?
I'm going to say no. Sure. I think we've had a couple who were really close. Like Jolly was really close. And Matt 45 last season, he was ultra close. He only finished off the podium twice in the whole season. So I think you know what? If you do it, then fair play. But your weekends like this weekend, and when you go back to Baku, they're going to be the ones that will decide if you get anywhere near the podium or not.
I got a podium in Baku as well, but then obviously it didn't count. That's quite good.
That was an absolute riot, I think.
Horrible. Horrible race.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So I just have one last question. I'm trying to stop the cat from chewing the wire at the same time. No, get up. Like, what was your? Okay, it's a bit later. No, get off the PC. Don't. What was your hopes at the beginning of the season? Obviously, you said maybe you were a little bit of a risky choice, but
yeah.
What were your hopes when you came in? Did you think this would be the case? You were at the top, or were you just wanting to score points?
Just I wanted to complete the full season. Like, my main goal is just not to retire a race. So that was the main goal. Just not rage quit or retire in the pits after I got hit. Just try and salvage some sort of points. After Abu Dhabi, I didn't even realise I'd be on a podium. After qualifying, I was second or something, and that blew my mind. And then after the next couple of races, like, hold on, this is where I'm supposed to be now in this division. So I think now my target is just get solid points still. I think top 5 is just solid where I'd like to be.
Fair enough. I guess it's time for predictions. We'll go with Mr. Tazo first.
I am here, by the way, if you want to say me. So.
Hey, I backed you last week. I'm just saying.
I did.
I backed you last week. I will take that win and walk away.
It's okay, don't bit me.
Monaco, I honestly don't know. I feel like I want to back Arnie because he drove really well at Monaco last season. But do you know what? Form means absolutely nothing for this weekend. So let's just bring up the standings. Okay, yeah, they're maybe not that person. Do you know what? No, I'm going to back them. I'll regret this immediately. Scotsman.
Oh, for fuck's sake, that's where I was going to go. No word of a lie.
Do you know what? Honestly, like, see when it comes to weekends like this, Jamie, you'll learn fast that we never predict people who are in form because it never works out like that.
You got it
It
right
honestly
last week,
doesn't. Oh yeah, no, but last week was a normal track. This is Monaco this weekend, you know?
Oh, Monaco is Monaco.
You may as well stick like all 20 drivers' names on like a whirligig outside and just spin it. The first one to fall off the winner. That's how predictable it is usually.
Anyone could win any race. In my opinion, but Monaco, it's last man standing really.
It's similar to putting your hand up the local bike and wondering what STD you're going to get.
That's a new one. I'll have to write that one down.
Okay, Jamie, who are you going for then for this weekend?
It's not me, by the way. I'll say that.
Oh wait. So you're like, oh yeah, I'm here, and then you go, nah, I'm not gonna win.
Yeah, but you know, I want something to be nice. If you said me, I wouldn't have said no. You know, 'cause I don't have an ego or anything. You know.
That's fair.
No, but I don't think he'll be any of the top three. No, you know, I think it'll be Joshua. If his connection's fine, it will definitely be Joshua. He's solid drive, way better than me. So I don't know how I'm first.
Okay, that's fair.
It's way better.
Gareth, what about you then?
I won't. As much as I was thinking Scotsman, I'm not going to back it because not because you've done it, but it was between him and Arnie, and I'm going to go Arnie. Now,
okay, fair shout. He's class too. There's so many people who could get a podium, who could win a race. It's not going to be us. It's not going to be Joshua, me, and G-Way. There's so many. Chaos, Arnie, Scotsman, Tunstall, Noodles. There's so many. Even my teammate's gonna get a podium. I 100% believe my teammate will get a podium.
Who's your teammate again? Sorry.
Kieran Wright is an absolute legend.
Oh yeah. Do you know what? I've been watching Kieran, and I remember sort of before the start of the season, you really looked like you were struggling, and then sort of came to the first race, and he did okay. He didn't do great, but I'm liking the progression he's making. He's looking quicker and quicker each week, which is great.
Improve. It's the end of the season, he's going to win a race. Last race of the season, he's going to go all out.
I mean, we'll hold you to that one. We'll make sure that's a snip clip for you. Don't worry. Just before you go, Jamie, have you got any final words for us?
Good luck to everyone next week or this Sunday. No. What's the phrase? No heroics in turn one or whatever it is. Please don't do that. Just be nice and safe, please. We want to all enjoy ourselves.
Well, fingers crossed. But thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we'll hopefully speak to you again soon.
Yeah, I hope to be back. Yeah, it's great. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Well, that was Jamie the G, everybody, and we're going to move now on to what we usually... I'm going to bring it up now. We usually at Monaco do a lottery for... the front wing lottery, we call it. It took a couple of seasons out, and then it came back with a bang last season, and I think it's a successful thing that we've done in the past, so we will be doing it again, and it is even easier for us to calculate it because it's all in the race directory. So we'll be telling the league admins or the league controllers to make sure they get that, and get your confirmation. Oh no, get your numbers in to myself and Taz.
We'll get everything. Yeah, everything will be sort of sorted within the next. Because we'll be getting messages out, so I'm not going to be collating it this time round. Like straight away, I'll be making sure that one of the mods can do it for us, just to make things a little bit easier. With my sort of patchy availability this week, but yeah, definitely make sure you get the numbers over. There'll be messages coming out. Reply to it. Get your predictions in. If there's any problems, we'll let you know. And tenner on the line, isn't it?
Yeah, it's usually
what we usually do. Yeah, tenner Xbox voucher. Unless you're rolling, then I mean that's probably like what £1 Xbox voucher.
I'm saying nothing. Let's go get the next guest into the show. And we're moving to F4, which is very much Taz's territory this season. Taz, just before he comes in, how are you finding commentary?
Yeah, it's not been too bad. I'll be honest, there's been a couple of races that have been pretty meh. I'm not going to lie. Like the guys on the track will be like, yeah, you know, it's been good. And there has been some good battles, but I just feel like the last sort of 2 races have been a bit... compared to what they started off with, and I think, you know what, it's probably more the track than anything. I think by the time we've done Monaco, we're back to some good racing again, but I genuinely felt that Russia in particular, people were very tentative and just almost fear to overtake, I think it is, maybe because of the weather conditions, but yeah, I think people are sort of feel like they're walking on eggshells at times, and I think that a little bit of, as I like to say on commentary, balls out on the table, you know, that's what I want to see when I'm racing, and yeah, I expect to see it from others as well.
Well, hopefully I won't ever be racing in one of your commentary streams, because I'm definitely not putting my balls on the table. Anyway, Skegman, welcome to the F1XL Extra Show.
Gareth, let's not talk about the last time at Mexico with you yet, turn 1, but hey.
That wasn't balls on the table. That was that was literally everything on the table. There's a difference with me. It's all or nothing. Sorry, Skegman.
Basically just doing snow angels on a table.
Welcome to the Extra Show. And that's probably not what you were expecting when you came into the party, was it? So welcome for your
Thank you.
Your first time with us, and how are you finding it? Obviously, have you watched many of the Extra Shows? Obviously, you're a little bit of a newbie when it comes to the Extra Show.
I am. I haven't watched too many, so I don't really know how they go. But hopefully it's good. Yeah.
Just talk a lot about your race and how the league went, and you'll be fine. That's all we ask for.
I'm looking forward to that. I've had quite a few entertaining races, so yeah.
Okay then, let's talk about Japan and how qualifying went for you, Taz. I'm just taking off with this, so if you want, I know it's your league.
No, you absolutely, because I'll take over halfway through and then go absolutely crazy. Trust me.
Fair enough.
I'm going to sit and watch first part.
How was qualifying, and was it quite intense with the times, or was it just like quite settled?
It was quite intense because I came into qualifying quite confident because time trialing I did good times. Then I got into qualifying, then I got around P8, I think it was, something like that, top 10 near there. But yeah, it wasn't too bad, really. I didn't do the best that I could have done, made a few mistakes. But yeah, didn't do too bad, really.
And how have you found the F4 this season in general for you? Is it been quite competitive?
For me, yes, it's been quite competitive. I'm around like the mid-table, near the top of it, because I've had quite a lot of pace recently with like France, Russia, and Japan. But I've just done stupid mistakes, being too aggressive, which has cost me the race. So yeah, it's been quite competitive. I'm enjoying it. So yeah.
I'm just looking at the standings for F4, and I mean, 4th place in Japan. Before we go fully into detail, what happened with you there? It's been a little bit of an up and down season already, and a DNF and 3 non-point scoring positions. But how have you? That feels like I'm rubbing it in. I'm not meant to be. But how have you found being in the Racing Point and the whole team aspect?
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna cut out there, so I completely missed everything you said. So. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I'm used to people ignoring me, Taz.
Yes.
How have you found the aspect of like the team ownership? And obviously, you've not been in the team owner, but you've been in the Racing Point with a relatively new team owner as well. How has it been, and how are you finding that aspect of F1XL?
Oh, it's good. It's actually very useful having like a whole team to have feedback on with all their like strategies, their feedback on what tyres and setups to do. So it's very useful, and I'm enjoying it because we can all help each other out and hopefully get a better result for the team.
Okay, talk about how your race went then, and then I'll let Taz take over as well.
At the beginning, I had a very good start. I think I gained I've made 5 positions in the first lap. Then I got, I think it was lap 6, I made a silly mistake in sector 1, going to the gravel and spinning out, which put me around P10. So I decided to then pit straight into the hards, I believe it was, and go straight to the end. I just had to get my head down and just keep going as I was going for the whole race. And then luckily I had the pace to stay with, I think it was Elite Dog. He had a 3-second penalty, but unluckily I was, I think, like 2 tenths out of it, so I wasn't able to get the podium. But it's still a good race nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've been sitting watching your progression for the season, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, this weekend I have to admit you were probably up there for driver of the day for me, because I genuinely thought that, you know, there were guys who made positions, etc., but you just were as aggressive, but as racy as could be. Like I think there was a couple of moves where I was like, but 90% of the time watching you drive on the track, it was a case of you just were looking to just overtake people, and it's good to watch. You know what? I said it literally a minute ago, but you balls out on the table, absolutely like smashing your way through the grid. Sometimes literally, but that's a different conversation. Were you surprised at just how much pace you had? Because obviously, you know, we can say this straight away. Top 2, you never really had a chance. Like those guys were just in a different league on Sunday. But so you and Elite were really, really quick on Sunday night.
Yeah, I knew I was going into the race with good pace, because them sort of like quick turn tracks I'm quite good at. For instance, France and Russia, I had the pace there but made a few silly mistakes which cost me. So I knew I had the pace going into the race. It's just a shame that I can get to Elite Dog, and I just made a few mistakes near the end of the last lap, which cost him to get a few seconds ahead of me. So yeah, but yeah, I knew I went going into a lot of pace, so I could go for top 5 possibly.
Yeah, I think you did really well to get top 5 as well, considering, you know, the fact you did mention. And I don't think it was the only incident you had, because you had a couple. Because I remember there was another point later on in the race where you were right behind your teammate, and then I don't know what you did, but you ended up falling back down again. I think you caught the gravel or something.
Yeah, I think it was, as soon as he came out the pits, we were like side by side in the first turn. It was just a bit confusing there for both of us, but managed to get past it, and yeah, a good race.
Okay, I am going to talk about your season so far, right? And I will be brutally honest here. For me, you have been one of the best drivers to watch and one of the worst drivers to watch. There's no other way to put it. You've been fantastic with your pace. You've been looking to overtake people, but at the same time, the amount of incidents that you've had have been needless. Do you think that? Right, I've got the stream on in front of me at the same time, and I can just see pictures flashing. I don't know what Gareth is doing, but it's fucking distracting, so stop it, Gareth. Right, yeah, sorry. So obviously, with the fact that you're sort of getting more used to the racing now, do you feel like that you're maybe taking smarter decisions rather than just sort of thinking, I need to get past this car regardless of what happens?
Yeah, so the first few races, I'm a very aggressive driver, which I need to watch out for sometimes, because it does get the better of me sometimes. So at the beginning, it was 50% races, and I just thought I just need to get past them as quick as possible. But recently, especially for Japan, I was trying to think to myself, like, just stay behind them, just keep them like within a second to keep dragging along with them, and then at a good point to overtake them, then get away from them. So I do need to improve, like, you know, being patient and being less aggressive, and know when to overtake and when not to. But that will slowly come to me eventually throughout the season, hopefully.
I think it's showing as well in the race, obviously on Sunday, because of the fact that there did seem that little bit of more maturity compared to what you've had this season so far. Because I'm not going to lie to you, I'll say the same for Starstill, because he'll back me up when we're on comment on Sunday. But at this moment in time, you could easily have been top 3 in the championship with the pace that you've had. So I think you have got more to give. But we'll watch a space, fingers crossed. Obviously, we're heading into I mean, what can only be described as possibly heaven for you, because it's basically tight walls and people that you can hit off. So, Monaco is going to just be a lottery. How do you feel going into this race this weekend?
I feel alright. I've never been the best at Monaco, but as long as I just keep it clean, don't hit into the walls, lose my wing or anything, I should be okay, and hopefully I can get a good result. Just keep it clean, whole race.
And when you approach a track like Monaco in comparison to obviously things like Japan, France we've done already this season, have you decided to put more effort in? Have you decided to just put less effort in? Are you just sort of, fingers crossed and hope for the best?
I'll definitely put more effort into Monaco, as it's a lot harder. We're doing lots of races to make sure, like, obviously, when overtaking, to be careful not to go into the wall or anything. But yeah, I'm doing a lot more practice to make sure I don't throw my race away early on in the race. So.
That's fair. Okay, so for this weekend, who are you predicting that will win the race?
Also, I don't think any of the top contenders will win it. I think it'll be like a mid-table racer maybe that will win it.
I agree with you.
I feel like there might be a few mistakes from them. There might be a few crashes as well, maybe for turn one, that ruin a few of their races. Obviously, it's hard to overtake them on a coast, so they'll just stick it out and just defend for their lives, try and get the win. Well, I don't know who would win. There's going to be quite a few that could win. But
go on, give us a name.
Honestly, I mean, it could be me. You never know, but
you know what? I could put you down for the victor if you want. you never know, as you say. It is one of those. Gareth, who are you thinking?
I am stuck between a certain Ferrari and a Haas driver. I really don't know. I think you know exactly who I mean as well.
Oh yeah. Basically, Dad's Army is who you're stuck between.
Who did I back last week? Did I back Slow Dog? Or did
Hold on, let's have a look. Last week you backed in F4 Nick.
I backed Nick and he... I tell you what.
The week before that you backed Slow Dog. The first week you backed Nick. I see a slight trend here, so I think I'm going to write down Slow Dog and see what happens.
I think... No, I've raced Nick here. And I overtook him up the... I can't remember the after the first corner. Yeah. Anyway, I overtook him up there, so I'm gonna say Nick. I think he's the consistent. Both him and Slow Dog are consistent, so it's a massive headache for me. But this is going to be a trend in F4 this season. I'm going to back those two numerous times.
You've backed Nick 3 times already this season. So that's fair. So I've just had a look, and I didn't actually realise this, but none of the guys who finished inside the top 4 at Monaco last season in F4 are racing in F4 this season. Arnie, who won, is in F5. I'm now doing comms, I finished second. In third place was Houghton, he's now in F5, and in fourth place was Footloops. We don't talk about him, he's a strange guy. P5 was Nick, so you never know. If form replicates itself, then why not? I, however, am not going to agree with you on that one. I'm going to go for, I think, just sheer consistency over downright pace, I think. And I'm going to back Shepherditer. He has done it a couple of times this season already, and I think I said it at Japan on Sunday that I think, he's someone who fights through the grid, and he did really well on Sunday at that. He didn't really, do too much. He just sort of sat there, got on with it, and he ended up finishing P7 after starting in 18th place. So he has the ability to fight through the grid with just hitting consistent lap after consistent lap, and I think he could do that again.
Fair enough. Well, I guess it's time to say goodbye to Skegman. Have you got any final words for any of them? Any of the guys out there, Skegman?
No, just have a good race on Monaco. Wish you all the luck best. So yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
No,
thanks for coming on.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get you on again in the season, and good luck for the rest of the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
Right then, let's move on into the next part of the show while I try and stop this cat from eating any of the wires on the PC. Pretty much. We had an esports event. Well, we were taking part in an esports.
We were esports.
We were esports. No, we took part in an esports event on Monday night, which was a little bit of surprise to somebody out there, and we obviously had a little help by Viper, but a certain F1 title challenger at the moment in Master Swain definitely, well, they both did the team proud, and we ended up finishing third overall, which, considering we were classed as a nobody and a fill-in, we did really well. Taz, you were there with them, weren't you?
Yeah, I was race sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Race engineer for the race for those guys, and I'll be brutally honest. You know, if they hadn't had such a terrible point system of just basically the normal F1 points, we were technically the second best team on the grid, because finished P4 and P5 in the end, which in obviously ESR standards is P2 in the constructors. So the two of them drove excellent. It was a shame because sort of after the pit stop they were just too far behind to really catch the Mercs, because those two were sort of within half a second of each other and just pulling each other along with DRS around Silverstone, which it's almost impossible to try and keep up with. So I think it was probably the best possible result after the race that had happened. They were always sort of just a little bit too far back from the top three, but you know, comfortably ahead of some good drivers in there, and genuinely did us proud. So well done, guys.
Yeah, so that's well, hopefully it means more in the future as well. That's what we're looking at, and obviously other news will be coming out soon. So, Mr. Tazo, I feel like we left someone out in the F4 side of things from last week's race, and George.
You on about George of the Jumbo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about it now. Move on.
Okay, cool. So yeah, he obviously took a well-deserved victory in the end. It seems like.
There is much debate about what's going to happen now, I think is the right way to put it, because his qualifying time would have gotten pole in every league, including F1, but obviously F1 was weather affected slightly. But yeah, he would have had pole no matter what league he was in, basically. And that's how quick his pole time was. And then the race, and Frosted will admit this himself, there's no disrespect to him, but you know, George could have driven around there all month and not been caught by Frosted. That's how far ahead he was.
Stop trying to jump on the PC then. Give me that. Anyway, let's move on, and we've got RT Killers in for F3, and I believe it's another first. So we've had 3 firsts this show already.
Yes.
Killers, are you there?
Oh, hello. How you doing, lads? All right?
Yeah. Very well. Very
Sorry,
well.
Killers, that was literally the worst introduction ever. Like, basically turned around and called you a virgin and then waited for you to start speaking. Thanks for that, Jan, by the way.
Call me out.
Sorry, Killers. I hope you're doing well.
From that,
Thank you for the show. I think I might leave Taz for this one because he's thrown me under the bus. But no, I will start. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for coming on. It is appreciated. You've been in XL a little while now. How are you finding XL as a whole?
Well, last season I joined mid-season in F2. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I was used to custom setups and thrown straight into pre-setups. I had a bit of a shaky season as I couldn't race some races, and I had a baby at the end of it, so I missed about 5-6 races at the end of the season.
Oh, congratulations!
But, I appreciate it. Thank you. And moving on to F3, yes, so far so good. Really, I can't complain. Got a great team behind me, great team owner, and so far so good.
I mean, there's a lot of There's a lot of lass for that love. Oh God, what am I talking about? There's a lot of love for your team owner in the site. He's a pretty decent guy.
Words, Gareth. Are you English?
I tell you what, I'm the F1 XL's Murray Walker. Maybe not as good, nowhere near as good actually, to be perfectly honest. But I do mess up my words nearly as badly as he does. But and how, ignore that. How have you found the whole team owner aspect and the team aspect? Has it helped you this season? Obviously, last season it was a little bit different. Like you say, you were a bit here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, well, F2 I was a reserve driver, but I was the Haas team. I mean, the team's unbelievable. What a bunch of great lads. It's like a family and friends. We've known each other for many years. The team's chat is non-stop. It's supportive, hilarious. We've gone through various topics together. It's absolute madness, really. I never expected this. And sometimes it wakes me up at night when they message me about 11:30, 12 p.m. Why the morning's still going off?
Yeah, it's probably worse than having a child at times. I think maybe not.
Yeah, I've got too many WhatsApp groups as it is, and this one just goes over the edge.
So talk us through how you're feeling coming into Japan. Obviously, it ended up being your best result of the season, but did you think that it was a track that was good for you, or was it a little bit just hit and miss?
I'll say a few years ago, I think Japan was one of my worst tracks, and it's one of them tracks where if you can get the first sector right, then you're going to have a good race, I believe. Going into the weekend, I knew a few of them was absolutely flying along, especially as Chips and Davey. I knew they had great pace at this in Japan, and I looked at previous results last year, and I can see that it weren't going to be easy. But yeah, go into qualifying. I was very confident. I had a good week in time trials and other bits and pieces of training for this track. I knew as straight away that he's going to be so quick at this, and at the moment I thought he's my biggest rival in qualifying. But I pulled off an amazing lap in the last lap. Last few minutes of the qualifying, put me on pole.
Obviously, is that your first pole of the season as well?
It's not. I think it is. I can't remember. I think it is. Yes.
I'm not well versed in F3 downwards really, but I didn't think it was. But anyway, I mean, how does it feel to start on the front of the grid? Obviously, at one of the most historic tracks on the circuit. Where does it add any extra nerves to you at all? At any point?
Yeah, definitely. That it's the first sector. That's the one. I felt, like I said, I felt really confident in qualifying, and after I got pole, I felt good. But I knew that the race wasn't going to be easy on whoever's in P2 and P3 and P4. It's just going to be going into that. First, get the first lap right, and then you can knuckle down and be consistent through the rest of the race. It was all about the beginning for me, that race.
Now you've propelled yourself up into third in the title, 1 point behind second. Are you trying to announce yourself as a title challenger now?
No. I chat with someone today about this. I reckon I'm going for. I want top 5 this year. I'm not going to say I'm the best in the F3 at all. I don't give up. I'm very challenging. I'll give all in every race. I really will. But there's about 8 to 10 racers that can potentially win a race. That's how I see it in F3. It's very, very competitive, and every race you go into, it's never going to be easy. But I don't think I'm title contender. Not yet. I don't. Bonta's he's flying ahead at the moment. He's about 25 same points, 26 points in front of everyone. I know it's one race, but you never know.
Yeah. So your hopes are the top 5, but Monaco is a completely different kettle of fish in itself. Is it a street track something you like, or is this just damage limitation for you this weekend?
Believe it or not, I actually like street tracks. Singapore, Baku, and them two are one of my favourite tracks in the calendar. Baku, unfortunately, I was second. I moved into first on the first lap. But I was thinking more pace and consistency in Baku, and I crashed. So that was just me being eager. Monaco is a different kettle of fish. It really is. What can I say about Monaco? It's got to be full consistency, I believe. Don't worry about pace. You just need to get around the track, really. And it's just get one or two stop race, and then just not hit the walls, and hopefully take the win. But Monaco's very interesting.
Taz, have you got anything for Killers?
Yeah, you know what? I may as well ask him a question. He's only, here for a short period of time anyway. I mean, I'm glad to see you won a race. And obviously you are sort of playing down the fact that you're a title contender. But multiple podiums, and let's be brutally honest here, a relatively consistent start. You had a DNF in Baku, but apart from that, France, I think everybody knows that France was a little bit all over the place anyway for everybody. You're ahead of some strong guys in the championship right now. You're ahead of guys like Beastie, Sambo's up there as well. Narwhal, the guy who dropped down from F2 as well as yourself. Surely you need to consider yourself at least in with a chance at a title.
When I look at some of the top players in F3, I mean Bonta, like I said, he's so consistent and he's amazing. He's hard to beat. Chips and Dave, I believe he's the people's favourite. I can see that via the chat and other people I've had a chat with. That's some views what people say, but yeah, from what I see, he's the people's person to win, and as he's just come from F4 with incredible speed, and it took us all by surprise really, and he's a absolute terror to race against. But in Japan, like getting off the line with him next to me on the right hand side, going into that first corner together, we were side by side, and amazingly we didn't hit, but I had the driver's line on the second corner, and that was it really. But
I'll tell you this much: Davies used to be overtaken around the outside at Japan, so don't worry about it.
But yeah, Chip, let's say something about Chips and Davey. He really, he's finished like podium near enough every race, I think, except for one I think. And he deserves a win. He's going to get a win. And like I say, he's the people's champ, I reckon.
Yeah, and the people are wrong.
We've learned very quickly on the Xtra Show that Mr. Tazo and Davey have a love-hate relationship. They love to hate each other. So.
I can see now Chips and Davey like right back there, like, giving Taz a little bit of.
Yeah, it's fine. The difference is, I can just turn around and mute him in the chat, and then all is good again. So, but I'll be nice.
I can go the other way. I can go the other way and big myself up, but I just don't think they're going to go down well.
No, they like people to come in and big themselves up. Don't worry. Okay, so this weekend, Monaco. Who's winning it?
I did a little bit of research, looking at last year, what Norris, Conte was up there, Bonta was up there, or near enough up there, I think he was. Beastie as well. Not sure. I'm going to stick with what I just said. I think Chips and Davey, he deserves a win, but if as he's been pumping him some good laps, so if he gets a top spot, then. But then again, Bonta, I can't pick out the three.
Give us one name. Go on.
One name. I'm going to go Chips and Davey. I'll stick with what I said.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you something. There's a reason I wasn't saying anything about predictions before that.
Go for it.
Every single week since the start of the season, whoever the guest has been and predicted, that person has won the race. So last week the guest predicted that you would win it, and you won it. Week before it was week before two. Every single week for F3 so far. So Davey, take that as a good sign.
There's a lot of pressure on him there, but if especially in Monaco, that'd be amazing. That'd be good. But I'll give it my best myself.
Now, I'd love to back Davey myself, but at Monaco, you've got to go something different. I think. I don't think it's exactly the same as F4. I don't think it's going to be one of the top guys that do it. I'm gonna go with Beastie. He's started to return to form. 3 4th places in a row. I think top step at Monaco.
Okay, you're going Beastie. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. Norris. Simple as that.
Oh. Fair enough.
Yep. Norris is going to do the deed because he only turns up twice a year, and this is probably one of his races. So.
Fair enough.
Right, waiting for him to start moaning in the chat, but hey.
I don't think he's on just yet, so you're safe.
I'm safe.
Thank you very much, Killers. Much appreciated you coming on to the show. Have you got any final words for the guys out there?
It's got to be, and it's got to be rest in peace, Murray Walker, absolute legend. That's all I can say.
Yep, respect.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh no, much appreciated. Thank you for coming on. It is a pleasure.
Cheers, thank you.
Let us move to the next stage. It's about, well, we don't have half time anymore, do we? It's we've got 5 leagues, so it's 3/5 of the way through, and it's good to have an old, I don't want to say old face because that sounds rude, but an old friend return to the league and join us on Xtra. Mr. FIFA boy, that's you.
Hello.
That was. Do you know what?
Again,
Do you know what?
it's awful.
I'll give credit to you. Gareth does commentary really well, and he does the sort of the blurbs in the middle really well. But Jesus Christ, his introductions are terrible.
Always. We wouldn't have it any other way.
Absolutely not. I'm guessing I'll be leading this one then. I mean, when I say blast from the past, I mean this is proper. You know, going back many seasons, potentially 360 days if I remember correctly, and that is FIFA Boy 09 for those who remember the good old days.
Yep.
How are you, Ben?
I'm not too bad, thanks. You?
Yeah, we're doing all right. It's been a long time. I think I mentioned this going back a little while. I remember one time racing against you in Fruit Loops where the two of you decided to sandwich me coming out of turn 1 at Spa, crashing into each other with me in the middle, and then both of you blaming me for it.
Yeah, I remember that actually, yeah.
Absolute carnage, but you know what, I digress. We may as well talk about what happened to you so far this season. I mean, it's good to see you back, but are you surprised to be as quick as you've been this season in comparison to sort of where you were the last time you were in the league?
Not exactly. I knew I was quicker than I was previously, purely because I'm not using many assists anymore. So yeah, gains you quite a bit of time. Plus, I'm more surprised with where I am in terms of qualifying pace.
Okay, so obviously that will have a major impact on the race as well if you're starting further up the grid. So. Yeah. I mean, you've had a couple of sort of unlucky results. I have seen your name kicking about here or there, but never quite come to fruition. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I should have had a 5th place in Abu Dhabi before I binned it in the wall. Then I got qualified 2nd in Baku and binned it in the castle section. And had 2 mistake-heavy races in France and Russia.
Yeah, but then you bounce back in absolute style in Japan. So we'll go into that in a second, but we'll talk about your qualifying first of all. How was your qualifying first of all at Japan? Where did you qualify in the end?
I qualified on pole for Japan.
And I bet you must have been absolutely cheesing when it came to that.
I was, purely because I still knew before I crossed the line I got pole, purely because I still had a couple temps left in the bag.
So you reckon you could have went even quicker than what you did already?
Yeah.
And fair play that is, you know, that's a bold thing to be able to say, especially with that grid as well, because obviously I'm just looking at you qualified just in front of obviously Dozy Dog P2, Jam P3, Gamerman, Steph and Rohar sort of top 5, and even if you look past that, it's just big name after big name in my opinion right now, you know. Joe, Leclerc, Pear, these are all guys who could easily be up the top end. So
they're pretty quick guys as well.
Yeah, and I enjoy just how quick the league is as a whole this season. Yes. FIFA Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying, are you enjoying just how quick the league is as a whole this season? In terms of the sort of race pace?
I am, purely because it makes you think on your toes pretty much all the time. Where in Japan, I done the undercut on drivers ahead of me, purely to gain time out of them.
Yeah, definitely. So on to the race. Obviously, starting on pole, you know the man you have to try and beat to win the race.
Yep.
how did the race go for you? Obviously, you finished just behind him, but from what I heard is you made him absolutely sweat his bollocks off to try and hold on to that lead.
So at the start of the race, I bottled the start completely. I was down to 5th by turn 2. So I was already gonna do the one stop onto hards. Purely, I was never changing strategies. It was more to the point of when I was gonna pit, and I pit lap 7, and then I'd done the uncut on everyone bar and gamer and jam and roll hard lad, and then got past them two pretty easily. It was just closing down roll hard lad until the line pretty much.
And I noticed on here that it's obviously half a second behind him. Was that a literal half a second, or was that after penalties?
That was a literal half a second.
So I know that this is a sort of hindsight question more than anything, but do you think that if you didn't have such a poor start, you had that race won?
Potentially. I mean, obviously, if I was probably at the front, I probably would have got at least 1 or 2 penalties.
Okay. Okay, that's a fair comment then. And obviously finishing behind Rollhard, a guy who just he seemed unbeatable, but he seems beatable at the same time, if that makes sense. It's like every single time he wins a race, it's the gap is so small, you sort of think, surely someone's going to beat him next week. What's it going to take to beat him?
I think it's just pure consistency, really. Keeping up with him during the race, qualifying ahead of him in qualifying, and just keeping him behind in the race.
Yeah, and a track like this weekend, Monaco, that's when the run ends.
I mean, I'm not going to say it, but if you're going to say it, then...
Go on, no, you can say it.
I'm not quite sure.
Oh, you're backing at the big question. Okay, so I'm going to pass over to Gareth, because I know for a fact he's going to ask, other questions that probably won't make much sense, and we'll see what happens. Gareth?
I mean, obviously, Ben, it's your return to XL. How have you noticed the change, or have you noticed any changes? What's your thoughts on how the site is at the moment?
Well, the league in general has just become a lot more competitive over from when I first started. I think there was only 2 tiers compared to now there's 5 tiers, and it all seems pretty close between each tier. And even when I'm looking on the site, it looks like there are quite a few quick players in each division.
Fair enough. And I think you might have missed the team ownership when you were, because it was season 7 when you joined, I think. So how have you found that?
It's an interesting dynamic purely because with a team owner, they can help you understand stuff. Maybe you don't have time to do practice, so they help you with getting the setup, what strategy is the optimal strategy, and then also getting in a group chat on WhatsApp and just chatting about any other issues within the team or the tracks.
Fair enough. Moving on to Monaco. What's your thoughts for Monaco? How are you going to handle this race?
Pretty much try to keep it clean as possible. Maybe not take too many risks. Maybe not have too much pace, so then I crash with someone or hit the wall and I end up crashing out myself. Just being consistent.
Fair enough. I guess, lastly, what's your hopes for the season? Where do you see yourself finishing, or what's your aspiration or your goal?
I think top 6 in the championship is doable. Possibly a couple wins and a lot more podiums.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Predictions time. Who's going to win Monaco?
I'm going to say Jan to win it.
Interesting shout. Interesting shout. Mr. Tazzo, where are you going to go?
Yes. I mean, it's Monaco. It's not roll hard this weekend. This is such a difficult choice. I am going to back. He'll probably end up abusing me for this later, to be fair. But I am going to back Pear.
It's a fair shout. Oh, well, he's a quick driver.
It's a Pear shout.
It's a Pear shout. There's
I
one.
backed him last week. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah. Actually, no. Do you know what? No, I'm not gonna back him. I'm gonna back Joe because I've completely forgot Joe was in that league.
Poor Joe.
Joe did 400 laps of practice. Joe definitely.
I've Leclerc. We know how quick he can be at Monaco. It is one of his speciality tracks. So I'm going to back Leclerc, and if he lets me down, then I'll cut his toes off. I don't know. No, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to go back Leclerc for that one. Yeah, so that's that done. Thank you very much, Ben, for coming onto the show. It is much appreciated. Have you got any final words for the guys?
No problem. Just good luck, everyone. Keep it clean. Try to complete Monaco in one piece.
Well,
absolutely true word right there.
With one front wing. Fantastic. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the next part of the show. Ben, good luck for Sunday, and we'll see you soon.
See ya.
Right then, Taz, we have a possibility of two different. Well, it really does depend who's going to come on. I've got two possible people to join, which is very good of Ryan to do that. Well hard saying that I've had a good shout. Thank you very much. I know I come up with them occasionally, but we do have the first guest in, which is nice.
Ooh.
And I've got a lot of feedback.
God, the only thing worse than hearing you once is hearing you twice. Ah, he's gone.
It's like that South Park episode when investing some money. There you go. And it's gone. Well, where's it gone? It's just gone.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm not sure what's happened to Binary. We'll wait a couple of moments, see if we can get him back in. Now, we're far earlier than we've ever been even when we had 4 leagues. We've never finished this early.
No, because we normally get to F1 about now and then finish for about half past.
True.
Yeah, because you chat a load of shit, let's be brutally honest, and then sometimes say things.
Yeah, true. Very funny.
It's funny because it's true.
Last thing we need is 2 warders. Thank you very much. Binary, welcome to the show. Much appreciated for coming on. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Sorry. Just one sec.
It's all right. Multiple things. We're all... Well, I say we're all adults.
All over the place. Sorry. Busy day today.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Oh, yeah. Getting there slowly. Hoping this cat doesn't turn off the PC every time he jumps up there. But that would just be my luck. Anyway, let's talk about Japan. What was your thoughts before coming into this race? Obviously, it's been not your best start of the season as you could have hoped.
No, it's definitely not. But I'm still sort of remaining positive in the fact that I've really only had 1 or 2 things I can really class as my mistakes. And even then, I'm looking at based on like last season as well, where I didn't turn up to 3 races and I got no points finishes in Russia last season. So after a decent number of rounds, having relatively decent points haul, it's definitely not bad. It definitely could be a lot worse. So yeah, I went into Japan just sort of. I know I have pace there. I quite like the track. It's sort of flowing. Generally, I'm pretty good with my tyres there as well. Because even on wheel, you can risk overheating the fronts, but I felt that I could sort of keep them under control, and yeah, I went into it feeling pretty good.
And I mean, qualifying, a different style of qualifying that we're used to, a little bit of a mixed weather one. I mean, did that scupper your plans at all?
I mean, it's I wasn't sort of sure whether or not I wanted to start in the mediums or the softs to begin with, but then I saw obviously everyone left the garage, and I was like, what's going on here? And then I got the notification from Jeff after everyone else had already had it that it was going to rain, so I just left the garage with whatever I had on the setup that was on, and so I was right, got to go for it. And I think, to be fair, given the fact that I was the highest medium runner, and I made a mistake as well, I might have been a little bit closer. It wasn't too bad. I was on for improving a soft run later on, but it was only by 2/10, so it wasn't going to get me much higher up the grid. It would maybe got me 3 positions. I didn't feel it was worth it to start, P5 instead of P8, instead of being on P8 on the mediums. So I thought I'd just let it go, and then I just went out and did a couple of laps as you saw on stream, just to get my eye in a bit more tricky conditions. Because obviously being on the softs, you've got peak grip, but mediums don't always sort of go there. So having the rain there meant that I was more attuned to slippy conditions. So yeah, so I just went for it with that.
Just touching on that quickly. Obviously, with the fact that it was the sort of slightly wetter conditions, it was towards the end of the session it went wet, wasn't it?
Well, it never actually went to inters. It basically started raining after about a minute in the lobby, I think, maybe 2 minutes.
Mhm.
So it wasn't really bad to begin with. I mean, it got a little bit slippy towards the end of my lap. I think it started raining when I was actually coming to about the Degners, maybe just before that. So people like Mark and Sanchez and Swain, they all got like the proper laps in, because they were pretty much on, I think, the after Spoon or after 130R. So they were already in prime position. I know Mark set the fastest lap when it had already been started raining.
Yeah.
But that really went to show that the conditions weren't too bad. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think yeah. Sorry, on you go.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, do you feel like that the sort of the weather almost was a blessing in disguise in the fact that there might have been some quicker guys stuck behind you on the softer tyres that couldn't potentially increase their lap time?
Yeah, I think if it hadn't rained, I mean, I definitely would have went back out on softs. I think, given the conditions. I mean, only P8 on the mediums. I definitely would have went out if the conditions were drier, because the further you are into the mid pack, the more likelihood you're going to get caught up in something, especially at a track like Japan, where it's such a fast turn one. I mean, you're barely braking until you're like more just using engine braking to sort of turn yourself in. And trail braking as well, so it's not like a full hard braking zone like you would get at Russia or Monza, etc. So there's a good chance of incidents in there. So being P8, I just sort of made sure I was safe when I got at the start of the race. But yeah, I definitely would have went for a soft run and tried to get pole and just go from there.
That's fair. So I haven't completely seen the race. Gareth has had to quickly jump away for something. So tell us, start of the race, how did it end up going for you? Obviously starting in P8 on those medium tyres.
Yeah, it was alright. It was about as good a start as I could hope, given that everyone else around me was on softs. I think I got a better start than Straka ahead, but with Chris attacking him, it meant that I just sort of stuck him behind, placed my car pretty much right in the middle where two cars could basically fit side by side, so nobody could sort of attack me, and waiting to see if Straka and Chris came together, but I didn't think they would, and obviously they didn't. So I got a better start than Niels, and yeah, I just sort of was stuck in behind. The safety car on lap 1 obviously helped Chris and a few others, especially Chris, because he had 3 lap old tyres from qualifying, because he had a mess of his first lap and validated the second lap, and I think went for the third lap and it was only mildly quicker, I think. So yeah.
So you didn't have the best qualifying ever on that one. So
No, I think it's just the conditions. So yeah, the start. Yeah, to answer your question, the start was relatively good for all things considered. I think Sora struggled off the start as well, and he was only the person in the top 10 on mediums. So
Yeah, and I've seen sort of an incident that he had at the start of the race that's gone to the ticketing, I believe, as well. So that was the one that set up the safety car. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think I'll say that much. But in terms of the start of the safety car, was there anyone that jumped in the pits, or did everybody just sort of think, I'm just going to stick it out?
I know Chris did. I think I can't remember if Prophet was in the top 10 or I think it was Nuthead. He pit as well, and I can't remember if there was another one. I don't think there was. I'm pretty sure it was P6 after the first lap when everyone came into the pits who was on the softs who wanted to. So the safety, I said in the podium interview, the safety car is one of the best case scenarios earlier in the race if you're on the harder tyre, because it allows you to stay with the softer tyre guys for longer. And there's no real advantage of the soft tyre guys running an extra 3 laps or however long the safety car is, because the crossover when they need to pit, the tyres will be faster. Like obviously you go to a set lap, say lap 11, that's the peak time, because that means you can get both tyres to the end, but there's no point you going to lap 13 or 14 if you're in that race, because you're not getting then the best out of the mediums. So it sort of hurts those who are on the softs, is the way I see it. I've seen it happen to myself as well, where at the end of the race, a perfect example of it is France, with Swain, who was on the hards at the beginning of the race. Everyone battling each other in that big massive long queue, and just being able to pull him along so he was able to stay with leaders meant that he wasn't losing time on his own, and he was able to sort of stay with leaders. And then when he finally got into those mediums at the end and they came out in the battle, he was able to get past them all. And it's the same sort of thing with an early safety car. If you're on the harder tyres at the start, it just allows you to maybe pull a gap, because you're not going to get stuck in the traffic as well, is a big thing. So I know that Swain came out behind, was it Phoenix, and then Mark and Sloppy had to get past them as well, so that hurts them. They have to use ERS to get past, and well, I'm able just to control my pace at the front. And then when I come into the pits, then I can sort of push on my softs and really utilise them. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fair enough. I mean, sorry.
There we go.
No. You're looking. Obviously, you've picked up a little bit. You've had a little bit of a dodgy start, as we covered. But another driver who's had a little bit of a dodgy start is Lightshock, and he's still in that dodgy stage. Obviously, a very quick driver on his day, but claiming pole here at Japan, but a 12th place finish, which is not characteristic of Mark. He's struggling a bit at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I know Mark's pace almost better than anyone. Ran with him for many years in a number of leagues, and he's a quick driver, and he puts a lot of time and effort into it. I mean, discussing it a couple of days ago, when the whole driver draw came up again about who pick who, and Marky puts a shift in with the team. He practices quite a lot, makes sure everyone sort of has a real work ethic for the team, so he's always a good person to pick. But yeah, I think it's little mistakes here and there, and we've both been victim of it, where we've I think the decision for him to pit under the safety car was, in hindsight, the wrong decision because of the gaps to everyone around him. So obviously he wasn't like leading the race, or in like P3 he had hard runners who were in front of him, with Nuthead, Chris, Prophet, so he's always going to come out behind them, and they've obviously got serious pace on fresh tyres, and so he'd be behind them. And even then, people who are not pitting, like Straka didn't pit, so he's trying to get past them as well. And it's that sort of dynamic. It's really hard to sort of gauge. And then you think, oh, soft tyres, people in front are going to come into pits, but if they don't, then you're sort of hindered in that way. But he'll pick up. Mark's a good driver. He just needs one result to sort of go his way. He's had a few good results this season, but I think when you get yourself in a rut, it's really sort of difficult to try and pull yourself out, especially at such a high level when you've got people who can win races every week. So you've got Swain, you've got Sloppy. Chris has obviously pulled out a win in France. You've got
even on his day, Jolly, like if we go to Bahrain, I fully expect Jolly to be one of the top guys there because it's one of the tracks he's really, really good at. And we even had Jolly performing at the top in Russia. So it's really difficult, especially when it's that little niggle in your mind. It's like, I need to get a good result here. I need to not make a mistake. Oh, there's a safety car coming out. What do I do? Do I pit or do I not? And it's just those sort of split-second decisions that can make a big difference. But yeah, I fully expect him to get back on it. He needs a bit of a confidence booster, I think.
And I know we're talking a bit about other drivers at the moment, and just someone else quickly to touch on is Sloppy. And how well have you, or what's your opinion of him this season? Because obviously he's come in and he's really rapid.
Yeah, he's really sort of picked up his pace ever since he took off traction control. The way I sort of like to describe him as a young sort of Leclerc or Verstappen, has that raw sort of pace and ability, but it's just not quite refined. So he's got great pace and he's got good judgment for a lot of calls, etc. But it's the little things like his ERS management or making a move when it's not maybe the best time. Like you think, oh, I need to make this move now. It's just a little bit of patience and things that you see from Swain or even Viper, people who are like really at the top of their game. No doubt, and like once he's got a bit more experience and he's had all these races under his belt, and he can maybe think back and reflect, he'll be one of the toughest guys to beat. He's definitely a future champion without a doubt.
Let's talk a little bit more about yourself before we head on to Monaco. Do you think you're capable of retaining this title this season? I know there's lots of good drivers out there, and I know you will back yourself, but is there any doubt in your mind at all?
See, maybe under normal circumstances, I could maybe say there might be, but given last season when I was so far behind when I came back into racing, and you look at last season's races as well, and Swain had a lot of his best results in the first 5-10 races. He did really well at France, and he had P2 in Japan, and he had he won Russia last season as well. So he had a lot of good results, and he sort of mimicked that again this year. And I look at sort of my results as a direct comparison. They're sort of, I think I'm a little bit further ahead in terms of points where I was last season. So I don't think by any stretch of the imagination I'm out of it. I mean, we go to Monaco this weekend and anything can happen there, as we saw last season. And it could be that I win the race and all of a sudden I've half the points deficit if he doesn't finish. So there's nothing in there. I mean, this is the start of the season. Russia's a sort of hit or miss for me. I like it and I can do well there, but I made a mistake there myself. And I tend to find myself, I take a little bit of time to get going in the season once I've got used to sort of the car, etc. But then I sort of gain momentum further forward and I start getting the results. And start pushing through, and people might sort of think, right, okay, start focusing on this person, need to focus on that result. As you see from other people who have fought in the championships, they think that they need to make this move happen now, and I sort of think that way. I think one result at a time. You need to just sort of hunker down and get into your own rhythm. So yeah, I think I've definitely got a chance of retaining it still. I mean, there's still 17 rounds remaining, 16 rounds remaining, something like that. So more than plenty of points on offer there, and it could be that Swain has a connection issue again in a race, or something happens to his pedals again. I hope not, because you never want that to happen to a competitor, but you never know what's going to happen.
No, definitely, and that's the good thing. What we've had in F1 last season, especially, we never know really what we're going to get. We've got an idea that obviously yourself and Swain and Lightshock will be there or thereabouts, but obviously Simple Chris and Hypers this season has been an incredible addition to battling at the top. Sloppy is proven to be a different kettle of fish as well. Profit Media is another driver who we haven't seen the best of this season yet, but I'm sure there's more to come. And you've already touched on Jolly being rapid at certain tracks as well. Let's go to Monaco then, and we all know how difficult this track is. It's a bit early to say a title contending race, or title deciding race, I should say, but it could have that feel on it if things don't go your way, or if it does go your way.
Yeah, I think that the season's beginning to get to that point where it's shaping up into how it's going to go. So, last couple races, I finished 3rd, 7th, and 2nd. And under normal circumstances, that could be like a great result. But when you compare it to the top, when Swaney's not finished any lower than 2nd, yeah, it's getting to that point where you're coming to almost a third of the way through the season, and you need to sort of gain a bit of momentum behind you. I mean, I like Monaco. I've always sort of enjoyed Monaco. With the exception of last season, it's pretty much all about the qualifying and the pit stop when you choose to do that. So I've been putting a lot of time into it. It's not, I don't usually put a lot of effort into practicing a track. It's more of a turn up and get my eye in then. But Monaco, with it just being so tight, and every single decision you make, when to put your foot down, when to brake, what gear to be in for a corner, it can shave a thousandth of your time, or it can gain you like a full second if you tap a wall the wrong way, and it just unsettles you. So yeah, it's one of those ones that I've been putting. I think I've already put in like a full race distance and time trial already, with a couple of other lads in the party, just trying to help them out as well. So yeah, it's Monaco's always a tough one. You always feel absolutely knackered after it, because the level of focus that you need for the full 45 minutes or however long it is, and you only really get any breaks if there's a safety car or if you enter the pits. So yeah, it's almost like you get tunnel vision by the end of it. You're just seeing like down the line, and it's like warp speed. Everything else is just a blur.
Well, hopefully I won't get a leaf mixed up with rain front wing or anything this season. But Mr. Tazo, have you got anything for Binary before we go for predictions?
No, I think he's pretty much covered it all. Because I was sort of going to touch on the fact that the gap to Swain and things like that, and I think
I'm just hoping I get the same sort of poly lap I did last season.
So the one thing I'll ask you in general is, obviously you did come into this season from the start, rather than sort of, you mentioned that you started maybe like a few races in. Were you expecting to, or were you hoping to be maybe a little bit closer to the front after this amount of races?
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I look back at mistakes. I'm quite sort of reflective at things I do, and I try not to make the same mistakes twice. Or not twice in succession, because the season's long and you can still make the same mistakes, maybe like 15 races apart. But the conditions in Abu Dhabi when there were rain, I felt I was good under the inters, but then coming out the pits I just misjudged, hit the throttle input and hit the wall, and then that affected the rest of my race essentially. And then I can't remember the next race, like France qualifying just ruined me. Baku's one of the ones that just, it wasn't my fault. I feel that is the sort of big missed opportunity, where I had so much pace. Sloppy did put a great lap in. He got ahead of me in lap 1, but then I managed to pull away from him on the second lap, and pit early, got into some clean air, and then I was I think at one point like 12 seconds ahead of Sloppy, who was effectively P2, but he had I think it was Pingers, Neos, Madman all in the way, and Madman was on hards, and he'd already agreed to basically be a moving roadblock for me. And with me being on the mediums as well, and then being on the hards, I had that pace advantage of 6/10 a lap or however minute it was. So it was always in my plan to sort of do a second stop and just blitz it away, because the hards they take a few laps to get in, and then they get better, and then they get worse again, and then they get better right at the very, very end of it. And I think with that safety car, that was a massive missed opportunity, just because Sloppy was deploying everything he could to get past Swain and just couldn't do it, and it meant that I couldn't attack Swain and try and get the lead again. So that was just one of those missed opportunities just because of a safety car. And then Russia made the mistake of braking a little bit later, just because they'd been used to sort of braking later for the corner at the end of the second straight, like the end of the second sector. That sort of affected my race. And then Japan, given everything that happened, weather's out with my control. It's not usual for everyone to immediately jump out of the pits and put a lap in. You know, you're usually told pretty early if it's going to rain, and it's one of those ones that it was raining, but it wasn't going to go to inters anytime soon. But the track was affected. But yeah, given all that, I think P2 was good. The penalty was on the like 3 laps to go or 2 laps to go, however long it was unfortunate. But given everything, if there wasn't a safety car in that race, I think that it was still it would have been difficult to try and get past Swain because I would have had to go past Sloppy and Light Shock.
Yeah.
During that time as well, like I think I could have done it. It's just with the safety car, it gave them time to save their ERS, and obviously tyre temps are a big thing as well. So I was able to sort of keep them cool under the safety car. So it's half a dozen whether or not it would have been a different result. But yeah, Swain's consistency and general pace was second to none, sort of there. And I was able to sort of eke it out.
And just on that as well, were you surprised at the fact, obviously, because if I remember correctly, I'm just recalling this from memory, but I think you came out on fresh softs and you were behind Swain, who was on sort of aging mediums, I think we'll call them. Were you surprised at just how difficult it was to pull away from him when you did actually make the move on him as well?
No, not really. I touched on it slightly earlier with tyre temps. So when we got going again, Swain did the smart thing and didn't go on the last one. He sort of waited until Sloppy might not have thought about it. So get that little bit of a gap and obviously deploy everything you can down the straights. And Sloppy obviously tried doing the same again. But just wasn't able to sort of catch up, and then I was stuck behind him for a lap, and then obviously the lap that the DRS was activated, I'd already got past Sloppy, so I was able to close the gap massively to Swain in that lap. But by that point, you're stuck in the dirty air, trying to get close, because through the first sector, I think Ward touched in the stream, Chris was really struggling, being right behind. Obviously with a pad it is really going to be really difficult, but if you're on the softer compounded tyres compared to somebody on the harder ones and they've got grip and your fronts are all going to be overheating, it's going to be very sort of difficult to stay close to them through there. So I was sort of dropping back to sort of give myself maybe just under a second to sort of keep my tyres in good stead, and then I would catch up rapidly through the Degners and into the hairpin. I'd be like immediately right back behind them again. And obviously we went side by side down to 130R, and there was very little time sort of to make that gap, because by that point the softs were past their best. Like, they were still really good and they still definitely were faster than the mediums, but then trying to break that DRS and pull a massive gap, it's just with the laps left, I don't think it was there. I mean, if I had maybe 3 more laps and didn't have to use all my ERS to sort of break clear on that first lap after I got past him, it would have been a different story. But yeah, it's it's just one of those things. I think that it worked out how it did.
Yeah. Okay, so we say predictions. Who is winning at Monaco?
Me. If you're asking me, I think I want to say.
Oh yeah, so I thought you were saying like as in you, as in that was your answer.
No, I thought you were asking. I don't know if you're asking Ward or asking me.
Oh no, I'll ask you first.
No, I think I would like to see me. It's a track that I'm really quick at. I think last season I was almost a second faster in qualifying than Mark, I think it was, who was P2. I think I did like a 1:08.8, and this year, this season I've improved massively on the time. I don't think my theoretical best around Monaco on a preset is faster than what Sloppy did on a custom. Like I think that's a 1:08.1, so it's like right at the sharp end of Monaco. So I think if I can just replicate that, get some time and get a confidence build up, because it's all about qualifying, all about having the confidence of knowing exactly when to put the throttle down and turn in, because you're millimeters from the walls at any given time. So I'd like to say it's me who is going to win, as long as there's no rain this time. I don't have to go and enter when it's wet.
That's fair. Gareth, you're the F1 man.
I am, and again, I'll start. If Viper turns up, I think he's got a good chance. It's always the case. If Viper turns up, he has a good chance. But if it isn't, the grid is quite open. There is a lot of fast drivers here. I know Binary was incredibly quick here last season in qualifying, but Weather didn't go his full way. Stracker, I mean, Straka's one definitely to watch out for. He's showing glimpses of his pace in the races. You know what? I think it's going to be someone who hasn't sat on the podium this season, and it's more about consistency. And I think that but obviously Binary and Swain, Sloppy all have consistency, but the man I'm going to pick is Matt 45, not 44 as I was calling him last night.
Are you mad? Are you actually mad?
Yes, I am.
Matt 45 hates this track. He's like F4 pace at this track. Yeah.
I mean,
if he gets out in front, he's just going to hold people up.
He is literally the roadblock. Like, you cannot get past him unless you cut a corner. He caused a massive colossal train in one of the other leagues that people run in. Like, it's a known thing. You don't want to get stuck.
So annoyed at him. Okay, I'm gonna do what you sort of said, Gareth. But I'm gonna go for somebody. I'd say a smarter pick if I'm being honest with you. And this is someone who this season looks quicker, and he's always been good at Monaco, and that's Xbox Nuthead. Yeah, he's been, compared to last season to this season, he's a completely different animal, and it's good to see that sort of more racier version of Jack. And at Monaco, I mean, he won it 2 seasons ago from absolutely nothing, and even last season he had a shocking season. I still think he finished like P5, P6 last season. It's like, I don't know what it is, but he always turns up for this one track. So I'm backing him.
That's a smart move, actually. I'll tip my hat to you. So that's a very smart bet.
And this is when Neil's 998 wins. No.
To be fair, he's quick as well. Like, I've raced them all at Monaco. They're all mega quick as well.
Fantastic. Well, Binary, thank you very much for coming on the show. It is much appreciated. Have you got any final words for the guys out there?
No, just let's have a good race. No safety cars that mean that we all get stuck behind Matt 45. That's pretty much it. Just let him have his own race, and we just all like drive away. Don't
Matt 45 will be the safety car on Sunday.
Yes, he will.
Fantastic. Right then, we're going to just close out the show, I think is the best way for it. We've obviously still got the merch store open. I will put the links on, or I'll ask the links to be put on our social medias again, just to remind people. There's obviously a fair whack of F1XL merch to go through. Don't forget that if you are a Amazon Prime user, you do have a free sub. Please think of us with that, because that's how we do all these awesome prizes. Binary, actually on the subject of that, I hope you have your trophy.
Yes, I do. It's awesome. Thanks very much.
Brilliant. You're the only person that hasn't said anything that you haven't got it yet, and I'm just like, oh shit, it's lost in the post, isn't it?
Not this time. Not like last time.
Right then, let's... I think the only way we can really close the show off is saying that we are back on Sunday for the Monaco Grand Prix, which is sure to be an absolutely cracking one. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe I will mistake a leaf for a rat this week. We never know. But we're going to end the stream with a little bit of Murray Walker.
This is something that many people didn't think could possibly happen today. They thought Damon would drive a cautious race, but he fought. He fought from second on the grid. He passed Jacques Villeneuve. He took the lead. He stayed there. And Damon Hill exits the chicane and wins the Japanese Grand Prix. And I've got to stop because I've got a lump in my throat.